Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about U.S. history. This is my second video on U.S. history. The first video I did is from Mali up until European explorers. I shared what materials we were using, which books, resources, and so on. That should be either the video before this one or a couple of videos before. I will link it in the description box below. Well, welcome today. I'm going to talk about, like I said, U.S. history, and I am going to do from Jamestown up until the Salem witch trials. I'm going to share my resources, my books, and materials that we used for those lessons in our U.S. history. If you're new here, my name is Joanna. I'm a homeschool mom to a 10-year-old boy who is 5th grade technically, and this is what we've been using. So if you're new here, welcome, and if you've been here before, thanks for spending some time with me again today. Okay, so quick recap if you didn't see the video before this one on our U.S. history studies. We are using sorry, my throat is a little, I don't know. We are using Oak Meadow's U.S. history for 5th grade, and we have done history chronologically. Last year for 4th grade, we did Curiosity Chronicles Medieval History, and in 3rd grade, the year before that, we did Curiosity Chronicles Ancient History. And we've also used whatever history or social studies was in Oak Meadow, because Oak Meadow has been our curriculum since day one of homeschooling, which has been since kindergarten. And so we continue with that, but I really love Curiosity Chronicles, and we're just about to actually start that back up. We've been really focused on our U.S. history, but I think he's ready to start reintroducing that into our home. Okay, so those were the bases that we started off with, our history, ancient, medieval, and then we got into U.S. history this year. So some of the things that have been staples so far for our U.S. history have been this Atlas of American History. Just a quick recap, I showed this in the first video. Ooh, sorry. The Usborne Encyclopedia of World History, and 500 Facts, American History for Kids, Exploration, Battles, Tragedies, and Triumphs from Native Nations to the USA. And this is just a nice 2-page spread, which I can read that 2-page spread in the morning if that goes with what we're learning. So, and it's sometimes very easy for me to just hand this over to my child and be like, here, I'll tab it. Like, that's the page you need to read today. So we've enjoyed this. And as I said, our Oak Meadow 5th grade. All right, so today I'm starting with Jamestown. So we read about Jamestown in our Oak Meadow reading. Then my son drew his Jamestown in his main lesson book, and oops, I'm sorry, I did this. And this is his writing about Jamestown. Then he made a Jamestown diorama. It is currently missing its little bushes and its fire. I don't know where they went, but I did find the diorama that he made. So it is supposed to be just a little section of what he thought Jamestown might have looked like, just a little part of it. So that was his diorama. Then, as I said in the other videos, I use History Unboxed, and we have the Jamestown History Unboxed to go along with what we were learning in Oak Meadow. So I kind of use this and Oak Meadow as my basis. It has a beautiful map on the back every time. I love that. So with this one, we did a horn book when we talked about women and children in Jamestown. We made the horn book. We talked about the starving time and the things, the kind of gross things they had to eat. So it actually came with a bag of candy rats. So you were supposed to be thinking about the starving time in Jamestown by eating those candy rats, thinking that they actually had to eat rats. And there was one more thing that came in there. Oh, a corn husk doll was the other one, the other activity that came with this book, plus all the amazing reading in here. It talks to you about Jamestown, and in this, it also talks to you, let me see if I can find it now because it was kind of important. It's going to talk to you about what they call the third founding culture of the future United States, which arrived in 1617 with the first enslaved Africans. And then it lets you know that then In the English colony of Virginia, these 20-some enslaved people would likely have worked on tobacco farms, and some of them would have earned their freedom after a period of years. But then, as we know, they ended up bringing more slaves through these ships. And so then it also talks about that in Meadow in their Jamestown readings about indentured slaves and slavery. I didn't think either one was that deep for me. So we did, I'm trying to see where it's at. We read that, and there was another, I don't have anything in order here, you guys, just letting you know. This was the other book that we went along, that we paired up with this. We really like National Geographic books as well. So this is the National Geographic Crossroads America, New Beginnings, Jamestown and the Virginia Colonies, 1607 through 1699. And in here, they also mention, this has everything about Jamestown. So I really like that. And it talks to you about the indentured servants growing tobacco, and then slavery arrives in Virginia. And they're telling you the first captured Africans came to Virginia in 1619. A Dutch ship arrived carrying a cargo of Africans. And so it goes into that. So because now we've read it here, they had a little passage about it in Oak Meadow and in the History Unboxed. We pulled Bound for America out, and this is the second book in this series. The first one I showed in my prior video when we talked about Mali. We used that one, and that was From African Beginnings. So this is the second book in that series, and it's, you know, it talks to you first about slavery in history. Then you move to Europe in 1492. And then you get Africa in 1492, slavery in Africa, and then New World slaves. So that was what we read, the New World slaves as well. Capturing the slaves. I tried not to read everything. And this one, it was pretty, it is for my son's age group, but as you can see, it's pretty graphic. And, you know, sometimes for him, it becomes difficult. And he starts to cry about these things. But we did read it. I mostly read it and didn't show him so much of the images in the picture, but I think it was important to read. So we used this one. And on top of that one, we used the 1619 Project, Born on the Water by Nicole Hannah-Jones and Renee Watson, illustrated by Nicholas Smith. It's this book. And this is a fictional book in verse. And it's about a little girl whose teacher assigns them to trace their roots, right? And draw a flag that represents their ancestral land. But she asks her grandma at home, you know, that she couldn't finish it. You know, she can't count back that many generations here. And, you know, and so then her grandmother begins to tell her the story of how African Americans arrived here. But she starts by talking about how they were in Africa first, and then about how they were brought. And it's beautiful. I loved this book. It's, I think, a great one. And it really, this was the perfect one for him. So, you know, then we talked about tobacco in Jamestown, how that was what they needed the cheap labor for, and so on. So that was that part of Jamestown. Then I had this book, The History and Activities of the Colonies. This is a hands-on American history. So it also has, it's not just like activities, it does have some stuff to read. So we pulled that one out. And I pulled these two resources out once I started the Jamestown Explore Colonial America. This one's by Verna Fisher. And this one is for ages, let's see if it's a 7 to 10-year-olds. And Jam really likes this one. It is black and white, but I think it just has like what he loves, like cool facts. And just the way it's written really helped him. So we use this from Jamestown on through the American Revolution, as well as this one, Great Colonial America Projects You Can Build Yourself. This is by Chris Bordesa, and they were both Nomad Press books. So we have a lot of Nomad Press books. We really, really like these. So this is another one, but this is now for the older child. This is the 9 through 12-year-olds. So we didn't use this one as much. We decided that we would look at it, but that we would then go ahead and save it maybe for later years. but it does have some cool projects, so who knows. For Jamestown, we read 1607, A New Look at Jamestown. This is a National Geographic book as well. We really enjoyed this one, and we recommend these for a really good look into Jamestown. There you go, the green gold, tobacco. My son read this one. He said it was okay. William Ship's Boy, about a boy on the Susan Constant, I want to say, but I could be wrong. But he is coming to Jamestown. As well, he read this one, The Story of Jamestown from the Graphic Library. He also said it was okay. Very short. This is super short. So he said that one was okay. He just likes these books. He doesn't always read them all the way through. This is You Wouldn't Want to Be an American Colonist, a Settlement You'd Rather Not Start by Jacqueline Morley. And these he does enjoy very much. Very cartoony, but full of information. And then we also read Pocahontas, Princess of the New World by Kathleen Kroll, and pictures by David Diaz. And in the back of this book, if I can find it, it has, you know, the storyteller's note or what happened next. So it tells you a little bit more information. And the illustrations are very bright and beautiful. Now, I had considered reading Pocahontas by Delaires, because that was the one my oldest daughter read when she was studying Jamestown. She is now 24, almost 25. But I don't know, sometimes some of these older classics tend to have problems, or I tend to find problems with them, so I don't gravitate towards those as much. So we just went with this one. And those are the things we did and used for studying Jamestown. And yes, I said all the things: the cornhusk doll, the mice, and the horn book. And the horn book was really cool. That is one of the things I was super excited to make, not because we talked about it so much or learned about it so much in Jamestown, but we learned about it more a little bit later in another book we were reading. So then it was like, oh, I made a horn book. I know what a horn book is. So it just kind of goes together. And so after Jamestown, we learned a little bit more about the colonies and, you know, how they got their names and how Jamestown prospered through tobacco. And then that's why they needed their, they wanted their cheap labor. We talked, let's see, we studied North America. Then I'm just trying to make sure I'm not skipping anything on you guys. I'm just looking at our, we studied our family tree. It's not complete because we can't get all the information. We didn't make it very far, but Jam made his family tree. So getting there. Let's see what else. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not skipping anything. We talked about early colonial homes, educating the children. So this is when that horn book really kind of came in, and that was really nice. Then we cross-stitched. I forgot to bring a few of our things we brought that we made. Then we're going to talk about the Puritan way of life. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. And then we were discussing the early, like I said, educating the children, the early colonial homes, rules for the children, and such like that. So then, sorry, we moved on to, like, he made his own rules for children. Then we're gonna go into the, oh goodness, the Mayflower. This was Julian's Mayflower Compact, his own rules we all had to sign. Then we discussed again rules and how they were. He made rules for children, the rules the children had to follow. He made a picture of the Mayflower, and then he wrote about that there. So I'm just trying to make sure I didn't skip anything in the book. I know what you're thinking, like, she's not organized. I am organized because I have the book in front of me, so I feel a little organized just because I have it with me. But yeah, not completely. Yes, I'm just making sure I didn't skip anything that we did. Made a pinch pot. I didn't bring the pinch pot, of course, with me. Yeah, okay, I'm good. So then we're going to talk about the Mayflower and Plymouth. So for that, again, I had my colonial resource books, anything in there that might have gone with it, we went ahead and used or read it. We used the History Unboxed Plymouth box. And in this one, you spin wool with a drop spindle. You made a marble game, and there was one more thing I can't remember right now. But again, great interesting read, and another great map on the back. It came with this Choose Your Story Salem Witch Trials. This is fun. You use a coin to decide what's going to happen in your story. So almost like a choose your own, but your coin is choosing it. So that's really cool. It had a little recipe book with, it says recipes of the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims. So we didn't do any of these. And the reason we didn't do any is that we want to wrap up the end of the year with sort of all his little crafts and things like that in his notebooks, and have a U.S. history tour. And we want to have some food out. So we're hoping to make these things for the end of the year. I think that would be a lot of fun. And we're going to have like little things out like this. I don't know who's going to come or what, but we're going to do that. So then it talks to you about Plymouth. It talks to you about Plymouth colony food, colonists and natives, as well as, yeah. Then it also had an activity in it of making your own stick game. So that was fun. Spinning the wool looks like this, which was fun. And a marbles craft, like I said. And then it tells you the rules for the marble game. So we did that, and we read Dear America, The Diary of Remember Patience Whipple, A Journey to the New World, Mayflower 1620 by Catherine Lasky. This was our first introduction to Dear America books. Jam really likes this because, just like if you watched the video before this, just like the Pedro's journal, it's a diary. So it's diary entries, and he seems to love this. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there's also some videos that go with these books. I guess it's like a series maybe. They're very short. They're not exactly to the book. They don't have all of them either. But yeah, the ones that do pair up, we try to watch. I don't think this one did, but or did it? I can't remember. But this one, he really enjoyed this book. This one was a little bigger. But again, it's just diary entries, and he really enjoyed it. History Smashers, The Mayflower by Kate Messner. So we didn't get to use this one as much as I was hoping to. This would be really fun if you used it to actually just do your whole unit or study on the Mayflower with this book. So it's a lot of fun. So I almost just picked out like little bits and pieces and shared those with him. The New Americans, Colonial Times 1620 to 1689. We enjoyed this one. This is the American Story Series by Betsy and Giulio Maestro, or Giulio, I'm not sure. And this one was, it was pretty good. We enjoyed it. Let's see, in the back, let me see if I find it now. It had like really good drawings. I think more than anything, I enjoyed the drawings. I'm trying to find the page, but it was in this one. Maybe it's not in this book. No, it's not. But the illustrations in this book were really good. And then it had additional information on the back about colonial America, explorations and explorers, and then about John Smith and about Tisquantum in the back. So we did really enjoy this one as well. Another one of the graphic libraries, we got The Voyage of the Mayflower. Again, just so small. So this is like a one sitting read, and he said it was pretty good. 3 Young Pilgrims, about 3 siblings. Oh, this is the one. Yes, this is the one that has the drawings in the back that I actually really loved. It has this Plymouth, and then it has, we really love this because we have been using Curiosity Chronicles for the last 2 years, and it's a world view on history. So U.S. history, just studying on U.S. history was really difficult change for us this year. But on here it says around the time of the Pilgrims, and it lets you know what's happening in Africa, Japan, England, Italy, Germany, China, Russia, India, Holland, and France. So we really appreciated this, knowing what was going on throughout the rest of the world. Then it talks to you about the saints and the strangers, as well as the natives. So cute book about their journey to Plymouth and what it was like for them, and then that information and those illustrations in the back. Another book we read was Poet Pilgrim Rebel, the story of Anne Bradstreet, America's first published poet, by Katie Monday Williams, who I believe, isn't she related? I think she's related to her. I could be wrong. It's been a while since we read it, but I'm pretty sure. Yes, it's her great grandmother times 14. So we read this book. It's really beautiful. Let me see if I can take the cover off for you guys, because underneath that, it's just really beautiful too. So this was an interesting read for me. I'd never heard of Anne Bradstreet. So this was a fun book for us to read. And again, America's first published poet. And we read National Geographic's Mayflower 1620, A New Look at a Pilgrim Voyage. So again, we really enjoyed the National Geographic books. So this was another great one for us. We really enjoyed it. And we paired this book along with this DK, the Mayflower. Now this is kind of for a younger crowd, but we really enjoyed it. So that's the Mayflower, and here's the contents in this book. But I just love the illustrations in here. Let me see, I'm trying to find. These were really nice, and we used it right along with the other one. So that was very enjoyable for us. Those we really enjoyed. Then we read People of the Breaking Day, written and illustrated by Marcia Sewell, talking about the Wampanoags. We found this book to be okay. Excuse me. And then this led to, of course, Thanksgiving. And so, of course, we pulled out the National Geographic 1621, A New Look at Thanksgiving. We really enjoyed this one as well. And we also read Squanto's Journey, the story of the first Thanksgiving by Joseph Bruchac. And oh, I didn't bring the Thanksgiving book. I have another Thanksgiving book. I think it's called The First Thanksgiving. I can't remember the name. I will put that in the description. That we really enjoyed to go with this. And of course, this segued right into the Salem witch trials. Trying to see if, and then, well, before we went into that, we talked about colonial trades. So Jan made this cute little, it's a picture. So you've got this chimney here, and it's a stonemason. It's got the stones on it, and you lift the flap. You're supposed to guess what trade it is. So that was a lot of fun and really cute. Then we also discussed, actually, trying to get to that page. Sorry, he studied the blacksmith in particular. Then we studied about plants that were native to North America, and he wrote about plant home remedies that he uses. And then we also discussed animals from Europe to the New World. And we actually really enjoyed researching this, and we learned quite a lot with that. Now I'm going to make sure before I get to the Salem witch trial stuff that I didn't leave anything behind on here. No, I don't think I did. No, that was it. The plants were last. Okay, so Salem witch trials. This was the reader recommended in Oak Meadow, The Witch of Blackbird Pond. It's a pretty big one. We actually enjoyed it, but and this is by Elizabeth George Spear. It's not 100% about the Salem witch trial, but it's about this girl who's coming from, oh gosh, what, Barbados, and to her family in Connecticut, in one of the Connecticut colonies, in the colony of Connecticut, and it's so different, and she's learning about the Puritan way of life. So it really gives you a glimpse into the Puritan life. And then they do try her as a witch. So that's a little glimpse into that. And one of her friends is considered a witch. And that's the little glimpse into the Salem witch trials in this book. So then we also used what were the Salem witch trials. We liked the Weeâchumun books because, once again, super short, not a lot of words. So you can really add it to your, and it has illustrations. You can add it to your study very easily and quickly. Now, this is Witches, the Absolutely True Tale of Disaster in Salem. This is a National Geographic book as well. This one was too much for my child, but there were certain little parts that I read out loud to him. So this was more of a read aloud. We used Blast Back, A Peek into the Past, The Salem Witch Trials by Nancy Olin. And what's good about these is they're short and the font is big and there's a lot of illustrations. So this is very easy to read. It's very young, actually. It says ages 7 to 10. So I figured it was perfect. And this was a good, like, just sit down and read real quick. And of course, you shouldn't be surprised. You wouldn't want to be a Salem witch. So of course, my son just enjoys looking at these. I don't even know if he reads them in their entirety or he just chooses what he reads, but this is like considered extra fun. You can read it at your own leisure. You don't have to read it. And then we did The Salem Witch Trials, An Unsolved Mystery from History by Jane Yolen and Heidi Elizabeth Yolen Stemple. So this was fun because you're trying to solve the mystery of what happened in the Salem Witch Trials. So it's an unsolved mystery. I believe they have 1 or 2 more in this series. I can't remember, but I do want to read them. So it does start off with, let me see, a girl in her notebook, right? And she wants to be a detective. So then you're going to go and she says the Salem Witch Trials happened because the Puritans who settled in Massachusetts were afraid of witchcraft and evil spirits. Still, my dad says that no mystery is impossible to solve. So as long as you have enough clues, this is how the story goes. And so she writes down clues and there's even definitions to words. So it's really good for vocabulary as well. And her notes on it. So this was a fun book because the girl's just trying to solve the mystery, but you're learning about the Salem Witch Trials at the same time. And, you know, just ends with the girl and she tells you she has her own theory and maybe now you do too. And then we discussed what we thought happened. So this was a lot of fun for learning vocabulary and then discussion after. Okay, so that is what we did for Jamestown, Plymouth, Thanksgiving, and the Salem Witch Trials. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found something that might be useful for you and your family. If I find these crafts we did before the end of the year, I will be sure to share them on Instagram or probably do a video showing all the U.S. history hands-on activities we've done, because they have been a lot of fun. So again, we really hope that something here works for you. Let us know what you've done in the comments or if something sparked your interest and you want to know more about what we thought about it. But these are the things we used and we enjoyed. So anything that we didn't enjoy is probably not here because I've probably gotten rid of it. All right, so thank you guys so much. The next video will be, what am I doing? The French and Indian War through the American Revolution. All right, you guys, thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope I see you for the 3rd video in what we've used for U.S. history. All right, bye, you guys.